Okay, this is about the welding process over here, and welding is one of the way of connecting the two members together, like we had in case of bolted connections. We can also have welded connections. The welding process involves the parent materials or the base metal which are to be connected, and we require additional materials like welding electrodes and the equipments in case of welding process. And this is a process wherein we will be heating the two materials together or the two members together, and they will be infused together. That is, members will be in a plastic or fluidic state when we are connecting them together. Generally, the electrodes are having a strength which are higher than the parent metals, and this table is showing you the properties of electrodes. What you can see here is the classification of the electrodes and their yield stress, as well as the ultimate tensile strength and the elongation over here. Like we do for any steel, structural steel, we also have the properties for our welding electrodes. Now, coming to the advantages of welds. This is just for reference what table I have shown over here. And weld possesses several advantages over bolted as well as riveted connections. Some of them are: the first advantage what we have is the welds do not require any holes to be drilled in the members. In any bolted or riveted connections, it is necessary that we first provide holes for accommodating the bolts or the rivets. Then we can join the members together. So that process of drilling the holes is totally avoided in case of welded connections. The advantage what it results is in the entire cross section will be utilized for transferring the loads as well as stresses, and that results in saving of materials over here. The second advantage is the welded joints are airtight and even the watertight. So this is highly important in case if we are having connections in case of water storing structures or gas storage structures, which prevents the leakage. The third advantage is welded connections do not require members like cover plates and all. So there is a direct transfer of stresses between the two members which are connected, and also the joint as well as the structure weight is reduced to some extent if you compare with the bolted or riveted connections. They are light as compared to the, and this results in reduced cost of fabrication. The fourth advantage with the welded connection, what we have is they are noiseless during fabrication. It hardly produces any noise during fabrication, the welding process actually. The welded connections they are more rigid as compared to bolted connections because bolted connections tend to become loose during their life, whereas this cannot happen normally in case of welded connection. Welded connection are aesthetically good in appearance. If you look at the bolted connections, they do not give a pleasing appearance when you have large number of bolts in that connection, or when the bolt size is very large. If you this you can witness in case of bridges. If you visit any bridge structure where bolts have been used to connect the members, you can see a very large number of bolts which look very odd in appearance. So welds give a very good appearance, aesthetically pleasing appearance. And welding offers designer a wide range of choosing the sections. uh, Bolted connection pose a limitation over here because when you are doing a connection using bolts, very few simple sections can be used as a main members, or else we'll not be able to achieve the proper connection between the members. Whereas what happens in case of welds is Welding can be done at any corner of the joint, and practically any complicated joint can be fabricated using welds. So these are advantages. And along with this, we also have some disadvantages. The disadvantage is that welding requires a skilled labors, and it also needs electricity as well as the welding equipments. So these are not available in case of remote places or remote construction sites. So that is a difficulty over there. But prefabrication can be a solution for that. But one of the disadvantages that it requires some skilled labors or even the electricity and the equipments. The second disadvantage what we have is welding produces residual stresses, that is in the parent material. So when we heat the parent material, or actually the parent metal gets heated during the process of welding, and if at all if it is cooled suddenly or due to environmental conditions or maybe due to the working conditions, if it is cooled at a faster rate, that produces residual stresses in these welds as well as in the parent material. Okay, so that is the second disadvantage. And welds are poor in resisting the fatigue loads, and when they encounter such fatigue loads, that normally results in cracks in the welds, which is one of the defects of welds. So that is a disadvantage what we come across. And welds also are more brittle, and they undergo brittle failure. So we do not deserve to have such brittle failure in the structures because they hardly show any signs of failure. We try to avoid such brittle things or brittle members or brittle joints in the structures. And the next disadvantage is distortion in the joints. While connecting two members, we need to take care. If we don't handle the members properly during the welding process, if the surfaces are not prepared properly, it will lead to distortion in the joints. So that care has to be taken. If not, the joints or the members which are connected together will not be arranged properly. That alignment may be lost. So that will be the these are some advantages and disadvantages with regard to the welding process or with regard to the welded connections. The diagram what I have shown here is the process of welding. So this is the electrode, a consumable required in welding process, parent material or the base material, and normally the welds will be running for certain length. This is the direction of the welding, the direction in which the welding has to be done, in which the electrode has to be pulled during the welding process. Okay, and here this is the area where that heating and plastification of the materials will take place, and later they will infuse together when two metals are connected.